What made you lose respect for someone? My son's friend used to spend weekends and nearly his entire summers at our house. One weekend, the boy was staying over with us when he had a terrible toothache. He was crying and just rocking back and forth, writhing in pain. We looked at the tooth and it was completely rotten and broken. Tried to reach the parents, but couldn't get a hold of them. We did the best we could to comfort him. When we took him back home, we told the parents about it and they admitted they had known about it for a while, but they couldn't afford the dentist. In damn near the same breath, they proceeded to show us the new flat-screen TV and surround sound they had just bought for $700. The boy continued to suffer in that home, in many ways we didn't even know about until later, for a couple years when finally my wife and I called CPS. We were so afraid of making things worse and were pretty certain that they would know exactly who made the complaint and it would jeopardize our being able to give him any reprieve if they cut us off from having contact with him. When we finally made the call, it went exactly as we had feared. The agency wouldn't give us any details of the contact, but the boy's parents cut us off completely. My son saw him at school and that would be the only way we could communicate with him. One night several months later, he showed up at our door. Turns out he ran away. Cops came. He tried to explain the abuse he was having in the home, which at this point we found out had turned into physical beatings, and the cop told him to knock your shit off and get in the police car, and they took him back to the abusive parents. The next morning, the mother came to our house with the boy and told us to keep him. So, we went through a big process and got legal guardianship of him, and ever since he has been in our home. He is treated like our own son. First thing we did was go to a dentist. I'm not one to wish ill on anyone no matter what they've done, but I hope those people burn in hell. At college in London I had a car and my mate didn't, nor a driving license, so I regularly drove to the other side of the city to pick him up or drop him off. Never once asked for petrol and would have rejected the offer if made. It's a mate, right? One night a group of us were out in town and decided to go watch a film. I called him up, told him to get over and I'd pick up an extra ticket to make sure he could make it. When he arrived he took the ticket, and casually said, "Get the money from Bob, he owes me." I'd spent my last £10 on that ticket. Everyone decided to go to McDonald's. I couldn't afford to eat. Then they decided to go to a bar. I swear he asked me what I wanted to drink. I asked for Coke. He came back holding two. Thinking one was for me, I reached for it and he looked at me, it said, "In your dreams," and walked past. Didn't have much to do with him after that. Was at someone's home, and because his son would not stop hanging on him, put him in a sleeper hold till his 13-year-old passed out. The dad did not think anyone saw him do it. I pulled him aside and called him on it. He did not think it was that big of a deal. I called out to my wife, said I can no longer associate with him, and we left. I explained to her what he did. Later the wife called asking WTF. I asked if she knew what he had been doing. He is now divorced and not allowed near his 3 sons. I hate this because the oldest son has made school life difficult for my oldest son. When my grandmother played the "no English" card and held back telling the detective where my molesting uncle was. End of relationship. Treating people who work minimum wage like crap for no reason. One trip to Starbucks had enough red flags to convince me I wanted nothing to do with this dude. A priest that I once liked personally and held in high esteem confessed to being a pedophile, child molester, and was defrocked. My now ex-husband telling me, "You know, nobody likes you. If they act like they do, they're just being polite. I mean, who does that?" Time. As I grew up, I realized my dad is an asshole and not the eccentric genius he thinks he is. A woman robbing $25,000 out of her terminally ill ex-husband's bank account before a divorce, then getting her son to assault him so that she could claim self-defense and sue him when he fought back. No, he didn't win the case or get a dime of his money back. Worst part is, before the divorce he had already given her $25,000 and paid her way through college, which she immediately dropped out of, because he wanted to make sure she was taken care of. Dumb bitch spent the money on drugs and it was gone in than a month. Cheating on their spouse, openly. My friend Tiffany had sex with her married, best friend, Clayton, when his wife was pregnant with Tiffany's future godchild. Clayton then left his wife and infant child for Tiffany, and soon they had a baby of their own. That all happened in a year. Trashiest thing I've ever personally witnessed. I know pet out. This shitshow contacted me recently to see if I'm ready to be friends again. I replied, I did not set our friendship aside lightly. I threw it away with great force. Asterisk edit. Added fake names for clarity asterisk. That my dad never came to one of my performances or races or choir shows. Ever. Now a former friend of mine is very cheap. Like, she won't even throw few pieces of fries away, because she doesn't like to waste food. I really respected that, because I'm not super duper careful with money. She rode her junk bike around, and one day, it broke to the point of no return. I had some bikes around that I sort of fixed, so I sold one of them for $50. It caused some issues, and I tried to fix it, but didn't work out. I obviously felt bad. Eventually, she asked for the money back. I apologized and gave $50. Few days later, I asked for the bike back, so I can fix it and sell it online or something. She said, well, this bike is not worth $50 and it caused so many troubles. I'm not gonna give you the bike back. I said, WTF? That's not how this works. Either give me $50 or the bike. She said, I'll have my mechanic friend to look at it and offer a fair value for this bike. I need the bike, but it's not worth $50. I knew that she's cheap AF, but I didn't know that she's this cheap. He broke up with his girlfriend, then proceeded to hit her a few times, knock her phone out of her hand, throw her through a glass cabinet, and beat her unconscious while she lay in broken glass screaming for him to stop. He walked into the police station with her blood drying on his hands, saying he thought he killed her. It being his first offense plus his family's high-priced lawyer resulted in him being sentenced to only 1 year of probation and a restraining order. During that year, he violated the restraining order multiple times, assaulted his ex-GF twice, choking her unconscious once, and raped her once. There were no legal consequences for these actions. Best friend of mine up until the beginning of this year. Got drunk and out of nowhere put a knife to my throat. I was able to escape and send him a picture of the cut on my throat from the knife. I told him to get help. Otherwise, I haven't talked to him since. After years of helping my sister with her bills, $150 car insurance, $120 phone bills, buying tires for her car, help paying to get it out after she had it repossessed. That happened 3 times, and countless money on baby food, milk, diapers, car seats for her son, spending every day I had off work babysitting her son. I mean thousands of dollars. She couldn't drive me to work one time after my car broke down. It wasn't missing work that mattered, the way she reacted when I asked, why would I do that if I can sleep in tomorrow? You're lucky I'm picking you up now. I could just let you sit out here. It was very disappointing, but I learned that no matter how much you do for people, it doesn't matter, so I spend my time and money on myself now, and no one expects things from me now or even asked. I feel a lot less stressed. I had a friend whose dad paid for her college degree, housing, credit cards, car, and then eventually got her a job in his buddy's company, and then he bought her a house. That's fine, whatever, lucky her. But then she would make disparaging remarks about people with debt, and that I just can't handle. So I had recently joined college, and we were in college auditorium listening to the faculties and different departments run by them. It was time for head of college's anti-sexual harassment committee. The head was going on about the basic laws and regulations and the actions taken by institute. At the end she says, girls, if anything happens, don't come to me and resolve it at your level. Damn, every student lost respect for her. A few personal injury and workman's comp patients asked me to commit insurance fraud through false documentation, because nobody will know. GTFO. I had just found out my husband had an affair, and we had separated for a short time. It was mentally and emotionally breaking for me, obviously. A guy friend of mine I had known forever found out about what happened and texted me to see if I was doing okay. Didn't even wait for an answer. Got a dick pic and, wanna make out sometime? From him. It's been 4 years and I can't even look at his profile picture without being furious. Coworker is not able to take responsibility for his actions and would continuously make up excuses for his fuck-ups. Lies to our faces and thinks we don't know he's lying. No respect for him. My friend got blackout drunk and swung on my other friend's GF, missed, then shoved her down. Her boyfriend then choke slammed my drunk buddy into a hot tub. I let him choke the guy for a few seconds before pulling him off. All this started because my drunk friend accused my buddy's girl of hating his dog, because it was sick and she put a blanket on it. They were all roommates, and after that incident they told me he had also gotten incredibly drunk a few nights ago, and pointed his AR-15 at another friend hanging out at the house as a joke. We sat him down the next day and told him that we loved him but he had to move out. Haven't spoken to him since. Had a discussion with a neighbor. Pretty casual. I said, I think that. And he didn't miss a beat, saying, I don't care what you think. I used to travel as part of my job. Sometimes I would check into a hotel and be behind a coworker in line. I was often amazed at how rude they treated the front desk clerk. There's no coming back from that for me. They'd lie about everything to get attention, and the funniest thing is that they were an awful liar. He changed up his lies all the time and thought I was dumb enough to believe it. He complained about the problems he was causing himself and acting like the victim and refused to fix his shit. I blocked him on all social media including his phone number. Dad ordered a beer on vacation after years of loudly calling anyone who drank in the slightest an alcoholic and drunk. Boss told me at the last minute, he never approved my time off to attend a funeral, after he'd approved it by text, and that if I missed the shift I'd be fired. Grandparents said they thought I wasn't college material after they'd told me to go to college. Same grandma as above. After being vocally pro-life for 20 years announced upon meeting my half-brother, a 3-year-old who I isn't responsible for my dad being a man whore, that she now supported abortion and half-bro should have been aborted. Had a friend since the 4th grade, and at age 35 he was single and using dating sites. He said to me, and I quote, I need to find a woman with low self-esteem so I can manipulate her into doing what I want. It's been 8 years, and haven't spoke to him since. I once told my grandfather that he was wrong for mistreating a child. He launched into this long-winded, misogynistic, victim-blaming diatribe, telling me in no uncertain terms that I'm the bad guy and I deserve all the traumas I've endured because I don't know my place. I waited for him to finish, and then I asked him why the truth about his behavior upset him to the point that he felt the need to verbally crucify me. His response, verbatim, the truth doesn't matter. What matters is what I believe. Edit. Thank you all for the support. I was pretty sure everyone would call me the asshole, but I posted this anyway because I'm quite proudly a truth seeker and truth teller. Girl I went to primary school with 10 years earlier, was due to be popping out her 5th babe. She'd never had a job and her husband was a trash human but had a decent job as a butcher in town. I heard she was doing it tough for food, so did a little donation from the pub I was managing. Bunch of tin foods, tray full of bacon, lamb chops, steak, chicken legs, sausages and rissoles. Plus 2 dozen eggs and 2 loads of bread and a bucket of apples and strawberries and mangoes. Took it round to her, and she just whinged that she had chicken so doesn't want eggs and doesn't like lamb or beef, so why did I give her that? And the tin foods were the commercial brand, not the expensive ones, and her family don't eat tea from trees. It'll feed the chickens, about the fresh fruit. Then the kicker was, she cursed me out and told me I needed to cancel the pub ban on a guy that had physically assaulted me 5 days earlier, because he was her drug dealer and it cost her more now because he had to walk further to get his alcohol. How I kept my cool and didn't snatch everything back and take it to the next town's homeless shelter I don't know. They were a complete jerk at a poker game. Small group of friends trying to have a good time and newbie poker players willing to give it a try. One guy just has to show off and act like he's a poker player. Condescending, talking trash, tipping people like it's a real game. It was a $25 buy-in, bruh. I'm talking to you, Jim. She was my closest friend back then. She slept around a lot. That wasn't a problem until she went behind my back to sleep with the guys she knew I had a crush on. She even went as far as finding a guy the first met on a dating app, flirting with him and sleeping with him the night before I was supposed to go on a date with him. When I confronted her about it, she admitted she seen me as competition when it came to men and dating. When he started to treat me like crap, made me think that no one else would love me, and took advantage of my low self-esteem to make me do things I didn't want to do, but he knew I was too scared to leave. I just wanted someone to love me. Finally I realized I'm a lot stronger than I thought and worthy of being loved, and I dumped his ass. I packed my shit up in one day and left. Never looked back. Learning someone I trusted a lot cheated his wife multiple times, plus 100 times. I was interested in a guy. His family would camp at a campground near my house. One weekend they were camping and he walked over and we took my new dog Rosie for a walk. She got spooked by something and refused to move. He took the leash and pulled on her hard enough to make her yelp. I only finished the hangout because I had shit for boundaries. Never saw him in person again after that, and definitely lost all romantic interest in him. And this was before he interrupted me by putting his hand over my mouth, and also before he told me my mom looked mannish. 2 different instances, same day. So yeah, hurt my dog and you can fuck off forever. Rosie was okay. No damage was done. She was a large black lab and lived a good life. We had to put her down this past October. She was about 10 years old. I work at a grocery store for barely more than minimum wage. One of my coworkers came through my line with a full basket and started berating one of our newer employees, who was sacking her groceries. She was acting just like any other customer that makes our days worse that they need to be. I lost a lot of respect for her. My dad abandoned my family right around when my mom's Parkinson's disease was starting to get the best of her. When my stepmother took my father back after he abused us. Visited a friend from high school I hadn't seen in a long time to congratulate her on her pregnancy and catch up. While there she told me that she suspected the baby wasn't her husband's but knew she'd be able to tell in the delivery room, so she wasn't going to say anything to him until she saw. Refusing to spend $10,000 on treatment for their son even though they had the money for it. Unfortunately, the son eventually had to amputate his leg because of it. My boyfriend threw me a surprise birthday party for my 21st, and invited all my friends, which included one that lived 6 hours away, F21. She ended up coming, but wanted to make the whole night about her. She kept telling everyone I shouldn't drink because I get too messed up. Kept complaining about how much she missed her 50-year-old fiancé. She kept including the age in order to also mention how more mature she was, and how it was rude that my BF's roommate didn't offer his room to her because his bed was larger. Even the next day when we got brunch, she kept complaining about how much she missed her fiancé, and that I should just get a box so she can take me home and go home herself. She managed to piss a lot of people off that night, but especially me. We had been friends for about 3 years, but that night really made me look at our so-called friendship in a brand new light. Thanks for watching. See you later.